Good afternoon on what is a bright, damp and blustery day. We've already had a thunderstorm or two this morning, so I am going to sneak this unboxing video basically in a break between the showers and the storms. So what we're going to look at today is this, which is how to build a boss fight final chamber. Now, this is a release for Free RPG Day, which happened on Saturday the 16th of October, and this is what this is released for it, and is from Mantic, who are best known for their miniatures and their miniatures games, and the terrain and so on, and this is all about the terrain. So we have terrain for any game systems, like for example on the back we're going to advert for Dungeons and Caverns core set in the Army Painter range. So there we go. And to be honest, like any role player, I love a good map and I love a good piece of terrain and I love a good diorama. And when it's a diorama which you can take your miniatures and put them down and have them face off against the monster, and it's all well painted and well presented, it looks fantastic and it enhances the game a lot. You know, even down to having the maps on your virtual tabletop is a big help to people's imagination, and it gives it scope and a sense of action and so on. And I mean, basically an aid to the imagination, certainly. I mean, your imagination certainly still works, but this is what we're aiming at here. The Dungeon Treasure series from Mantic Games Terrain Kit and supply to your date, your store, or the building the final chamber for the ultimate boss fight. Here we go. So this is essentially a guide to how you create this, and that looks fantastic. You know, if somebody put that down on the table, I would be mightily impressed. So this takes you from first point first right through to the final step. So preparing your final chamber and creating your final chamber. So you've got basically got a guide, a step-by-step process, and we did basically deemed the floor, and so for example there, cutting the flagstones, and then building the walls and alcoves, and it's taking you through the various steps. This all looks fantastic, and I admire anybody capable of doing this. I'm not. I am literally no good with my hands. Unlike my father, who could build this in a scratch, you know, or my sister, she could do it. And I've not touched a paintbrush or anything like that, you know, in some decades. So on, who we go on to? Oh, I've got a visitor. So, oh no, it's fine. This is good. Come on, come back up. There we go. Big damp cat. So yeah, as you can see here, we've got the guide to preparing the chamber and painting it. Your aim to get it to look like that. Sorry, he really is taking part today. Really wants a fuss. Here we go, and then we actually get onto the treasure piles and painting the other treasures. So you've got painting the other treasure piles basically, which obviously are great for any dungeon scene, because almost essentially a final layer, especially if it's a dragon, because you need piles of loot for the dragon to sleep on and lust after, and then painting the other treasures. So you've got the various items. So we have crates and piles of weapons and so on. Yeah, he is. Here we go. Yeah, not impressed. So after that, we have reaching the final chamber. So we have a complete description of the chamber. So there we go, and that's a couple of pages long. There's quite a lot of text there, and essentially. So it says, reaching the final chamber, dungeon delving has always been a dangerous prospect, and it's important to gather as much information as possible as you can to make the best plans. Adventuring parties who decide to push on to the bitter end can often find themselves facing the most dangerous opponents, just as they've reached their most exhausted levels. Others can arrive fresh and ready for their enemy. Which method do you typically choose? Here are a few hooks to set your characters on the epic adventure. So essentially what we've got here is Lair of the Minotaur, the Summoning, Eternal Slumber. There are 3 hooks. You basically say, okay, what's going to bring the adventurers to this chamber, the final boss battle for this level or the dungeon? Okay, so 3 of those. And then we go on to, we have the treasure chamber, and what's in them. So you have things like the Axe of Garrus, belong to the Minotaur Lord Garrus, Vilehoof for the Armour of Durgan, Iron Soul, a Dwarven Smith, the Staff of Illicar, a Mave belong to a Mage, and so on. So so you've got essentially backstory to this chamber, which the referee, GM, a Game Master, or the Dungeon Master can adapt to provide a background for the setting. And last of all, what we've got here is some advertising, and the terrain crate, which essentially crates. I obviously seen them. You subscribe, and the manufacturer or fulfiller will basically assemble lots of different little items for whether it's your various fandom, or in this case terrain for your dungeon or your battlefield. This really this is a very generic product. It's a complete guide to creating your basically your final battle scene for your dungeon. So that works in Dungeons and Dragons, Pathfinder, or the miniatures game, battle game of your choice. It works with so many different games. Most all of them fantasy. And if you have a GM or a player who is good with their hands and skilled at this kind of thing, they're going to appreciate the content in this, as will the other players once it's on the table, of course. And of course, there's ideas in here with the. Let's have a look. Sorry, having to do this round a cat who's really in or need or really wants a fuss. With the Lair of the Minotaur or the Summoning or the Eternal Slumber plot hooks. If the GM is short of an idea or something, he could take that and drop this into the end of the adventure, and come up with the stats and so on necessary to present to her players, and ready to play. So there's inspiration here, as not just essentially inspiration for the game, as well as a guide to creating items. But overall, I'm impressed by this. It generally, for what it is, it's not something that I'm going to do. I don't have the space, as I say, or much of the inclination, or indeed the skill. But I'm sure there are plenty of people who have, and they'll appreciate this. So that's how to build a boss fight final chamber from Mantic Games. Nice to see something a little bit different offered to Free RPG Day this year. So there's quite a diversity of titles, as well as the traditional quick starts and scenarios for your various role-playing games. Check this out. It's worth looking at if you're interested in doing any crafting for your dungeon, or you really just want an idea for something. But other than that, obviously, it's very much fantasy orientated and suitable for a wide range of role-playing games. Well, once again, thank you very much for watching another unboxing video for Free RPG Day. If you've enjoyed this, please do click the like button down below. If you have any comments or feedback, I appreciate you posting those, and I'll take the time to read them. And lastly, if you wanted to be alerted to yet more unboxings, whether this is for Free RPG Day 2021, or indeed for the normal videos I post every day, where I unbox different games and so on, and books, and talk about them for the best extent of my knowledge for 10 minutes or so, all of course accompanied by a nice hot cup of tea. And in this instance, the cat, please do hit that subscribe button. In the meantime, thank you again for watching. I'll be back again soon with another unboxing video and then more unboxing videos for Free RPG Day. Bye for now.